I kind of categorize two aspects: the grand unification theories, which are more about unifying the fundamental forces of physics, and what I call the theories of unified metaphysics, or TUM, which is more like the ground of being, or the metaphysical nature of fundamental reality. And I would like to think that a theory of everything somehow unites the two, like the theory of unified metaphysics gives something that grounds the grand unification theory in some way. Even if the TUM aspect of it isn't explicitly giving that, I think it should allow for that in some
Yes,
way.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, and I like the distinction you've drawn, because I think physicists often talk about a theory of everything. They use that terminology when really what they're talking about is a grand unified theory of physics, and philosophers using the same terminology often means something actually quite a bit more grand in its scope and implications. And that's what I would consider the true theory of everything, is the kind of all-encompassing unified theory of metaphysics, because that is supposed to be a complete encapsulation of not just physics, but everything that there is to reality,
Right. So in the sense that when we talk about a theory of everything, we're defining its scope as not just a gut, but something much grander. And I think in that sense, the requirement of a theory of everything takes on a very different lens, right? It's not just unites the fundamental forces of physics, but provides many more answers. And I guess that's where we can get into some of these requirements. As part of the requirement, is it fair to ask that the theory of everything has to sort of provide a satisfiable answer or proof, or like kind of make sense in a way that explains things? Like, this is just meeting the principle of sufficient reason in some way, right? Like it needs to
Well,
be able to.
yeah, I don't know. I heard two questions there, right? Like a satisfying answer and then satisfying proof, right? So, and I would think of proof as being the kind of demonstration that excludes other options, right? So this and only this is the answer, and we kind of know, or we have a very good reason to think so. Whereas a satisfying answer, it's plausible to think that you could come up with a satisfying answer, and that someone else could come up with an alternative and equally satisfying answer. And then we might then have to consider the theories along other dimensions or criteria in order to determine which of them is superior.